Hi everyone, in this video we're going to talk about the Facebook group for the new love addiction, and specifically how the group has been created and started and evolved. It's only 5 to 6 months old and already proving to be an incredible resource of wisdom and life experience based upon the level of sharing by the participants. So if you're watching this video, chances are that you're already in the group. If not, please know that you are welcome to join. That is an invitation. And let's talk more about the New Love Addiction Facebook group. I also want to use the chance in this video just to acknowledge gratitude and really being thankful that the group exists. So please stay tuned. Hello, I'm Robarge, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist, and I specialize in working with clients in the area of codependency, love addiction, and attachment injuries. And those areas just so happen to be my own personal healing path, which is how I've stumbled upon this area of focus. So for many years, I was introduced to the literature and information around codependency and then also love addiction. And due to my training of working with trauma and being introduced to attachment theory, began to explore what are attachment injuries and what are the symptoms of attachment injuries and how do they show up. And it became very clear that there's this almost seamless overlap or obviousness to the symptoms and behaviors that show up in love addiction are in fact trauma symptoms. And just very quickly, the 3 areas or 3 key main ways or categories of creating identifying trauma symptoms are what is referred to as hyperarousal. The other category is called intrusion. So we cannot keep information out. We're intruded upon through, let's say, obsessive thinking, or our body is intruded upon through anxiety. And then the last category is often referred to as constriction. We feel constricted, we pull back, we shut down. We have these moments where we implode on ourselves, and that could be our sense of self, or it could also be energetically of just sort of like feeling disempowered, losing your power in relationship. It could be dissociation, where the body sort of numbs out. So with love addiction and codependency, those are 2 areas of focus and information that have evolved out of the addictions community, thus the name love addiction. And in my own personal experience of attending CODA meetings, Codependency Anonymous meetings, and adult children of alcoholics meetings, as well as also love addiction meetings, began to feel that body of information, although incredibly helpful and informative, does not fully resonate with my experience. And I started to think that because it's coming from its own self-referencing language and a particular perspective about addiction, that it's channeling all of our understanding of what's happening through the lens of addiction. And quite frankly, that just did not fit for me. There's so much of that information, specifically in the very obvious, overtly expressed forms that don't connect or relate to my history and my family or to my life. My process and my experience of the symptoms and behaviors of love addiction and codependency are rather overt. They're rather, not overt, covert. They're rather hidden. They're under the radar, which has made sifting through this information, like think of panning for gold, and you're sifting, you're trying to see, well, yeah, here's a little nugget of information, that's helpful. No, this one's not helpful, and always trying to piece it together. And what I was introduced to through trauma studies and then also the neuroscience of attachment and how the brain participates in creating emotional intimacy and bonding, and what's actually happening in our chemical processes or our hormonal processes in our nervous system when the attachment system is frightened or thwarted or had some history of abuse in some way, which could be being ignored, abandoned, isolated, just neglected, not seen, known, heard, and understood, that our attachment system, what we use to rely on to create bonding with another person, is actually activating and triggering a unresolved or unintegrated trauma injury or attachment injury. So I'm using these words a bit synonymous or interchangeable here. And I began to realize that the symptoms and the behaviors that are used to describe love addiction, again, being channeled in language that supports it being an addiction, in fact, are trauma symptoms, are expressions of an unintegrated trauma or unintegrated trauma energy in the nervous system looping around your body. So that's what I mean in the title, in the word, The New Love Addiction. I wanted a forum, a format, an environment, a context where we could talk about attachment injuries. And I'm using the platform I'm using is starting from love addiction, but I'm calling it The New Love Addiction because I want us to explore more the focus of what does it mean to have an attachment injury. And the truth is, we could talk about love addiction without ever talking about addiction, which in some ways is helpful and in some ways is not helpful. Many of us come to understanding about love addiction through the awareness of other addictions pointing us in this direction, and that we have some history in our families that needs to be healed or needs to be changed. And we're playing that out in our adult relationships as well. So I created this group, The New Love Addiction, and a major place of conversation and how we explore these ideas is through this Facebook group. And I just want to say thank you to everyone who is participating. There is a wealth of wisdom and insight that is being offered up, and I appreciate the level of care and encouragement and compassion and kindness, and I hope that you continue to share and participate and tell others, invite others to the group, and all of us will continue on in this healing journey in a way to normalize this process. So again, thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next video. This is Alan Robarge. I am a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. And hi everyone, I want to welcome you to this video. What has been happening over the last 5